Welcome to a special edition of Crawford County Outdoors. I'm Duane Kohler and joined by Lisa Beck, our celebrity chef. And we are having a special program today. This is our special dog edition here of Crawford County Outdoors. So I'm really looking forward to what you're working on here, Lisa. What are you thinking about here?
Well, we're going to make some homemade dog biscuits.
Okay.
You know, preservative-free, homemade, real food. I think they're going to like it.
So we have a special championship dog trial that's going to come up later on in the show, and I think people. One of my things I've discovered over the years is having attractive women, dogs, and kids on the show. See, and so we're going to have it all covered here today.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wow, how nice.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have here is all of our ingredients. I'm going to tell you what we have before we get started. We have 2.5 cups of whole wheat flour. I have a cup of wheat germ. I have a 1/2 cup of flaxseed. Okay. And some honey. We're going to use about a tablespoon of honey. We have a half a cup of pumpkin puree.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're in that all natural.
All natural. Yes.
Here. Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
1/2 cup of applesauce.
Okay.
3 eggs. 1/2 cup of olive oil and a cup of water. And I have a little extra flour because we're going to roll these out and we're going to cut them with a cookie cutter.
Okay.
Okay.
You can make whatever shape you want.
You don't have to use a dog biscuit cookie cutter. I have a few, or I have a couple of them. You can use whatever you want. You could just use the back, a glass and make a little round one. It doesn't matter. And like I said, I have 2 different ones if you have a large dog or if you have a small dog, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to mix your dry ingredients, and we have our flour already in this large bowl, so we're going to add the wheat germ.
Can I stir?
I would appreciate that. There you go.
With the kutala, with the wooden spoon?
There you go. Oh, wow. Impressive. And so we've got those with the flaxseed going. And you just really give it a little zhuzh there. And then we'll put our wet ingredients in the KitchenAid mixer. That's good.
Okay, so this doesn't have to be perfectly blended. We're just getting them kind of mixed up together.
Yep,
all right,
and then we're going to add that to the wet ingredients once we get them going. So we'll set this aside for a minute. And then we're going to add our pumpkin. You want to put the pumpkin in the applesauce.
All right.
I'm going to get a paper towel because eggs sometimes get messy. And we're going to put our eggs in there.
Okay, I'm an expert at egg breaking.
There you go. That's good.
Maybe not. Okay. But I claim to be.
That's all right. If there's a shell in there, a little tiny one, extra calcium.
Dogs probably like that.
They probably do. I think we'll be okay.
It's like they figure out that's where birds come from, right? So.
That's right. And we know they like birds.
Yes.
Oh, good job, Duane. I'm impressed. I am a little
Oh, you know what? I did get
you.
a piece of shell in here. I'm going to fish it out because I can see it.
Okay. Here, that's why I have the paper towel.
Thank you.
There you go. And then you can add the water and the 1/2 cup of oil.
So this isn't terribly complicated. Right?
No, this isn't. And I'll tell you, it's a nice recipe. If you think of the fatty 3 omegas and the protein in the eggs, these are pretty healthy. Now, if you have a dog with a pumpkin allergy or a wheat allergy, I mean, that'd be different. Now, I'm not measuring this out because it makes a mess of a spoon. So I'm just going to give a couple squirts in there of honey. You need about a tablespoon. That's almost right. Got to make that a little flavorful for the pups. And then we're just going to bring this down and mix it on low there just till it gets mixed up. And then what we'll do is we'll change the paddle and we'll start to add the dry ingredients to it.
Okay.
Now what's going to happen is it's going to be pretty sticky. And so what I found is sprinkling a little extra flour in there, kind of, patting it a little bit, and I stick it in the refrigerator and let it set. So you can set it in there for about an hour or so. And then when you take it out, you might need still some more flour, but they roll out really nice. So that looks, let me just turn it up a little bit. Don't want to turn it up too high, it'll go crazy on you.
All over the room. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that should be good. Now we're just going to change this and put the paddle on because now we're going to put the dry ingredients in there.
Is that what that is?
Yep.
I'm going to let you do it so I don't mess it up.
Okay. I'll tell you, this is my favorite appliance. I use it almost daily. Whoops, I don't want to put that down yet. So I'm going to do a little bit at a time, and I always do it on low. Whoops, of course I'm making a mess.
You learned from me.
Yeah, maybe I did. And if you turn it on high, you get a room full of wheat flour, and you don't want that.
Maybe the dogs want that.
Oh, yeah. They might.
They want the biscuits flying around probably more than the flour.
Sure. Oh, and by the way, I did preheat the oven for 350.
Okay.
And I sprayed a pan, like a cookie sheet, with some of the cooking spray. You could probably use parchment paper as well, but I just sprayed it, and it worked really well for me the first time I made these. So let's get a nice consistency.
You may thicker, you can tell.
Right.
Added some more flour there.
And you may, in the end, need to add a little bit more flour. Like I said, it's a pretty liquidy consistency.
Kind of flexible as how it works.
Yeah, and it didn't. Okay. I did actually add a little bit more than 2.5 cups the first time I made these, and they turned out fine. I just found that the recipe initially didn't tell you to put it in the refrigerator, and I think with all cookies that I roll out, it just seems to work better.
It's kind of looking like cookie dough.
Yeah, it does. Puppy cookie dough.
Yeah.
Pooch cookie dough. Yeah, it's coming out really nice. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit now that the flour's all mixed in there.
Not going to go flying now that it's kind of all stuck together?
Yeah. And it's a pretty sticky consistency. So you're going to get your hands dirty when you're trying to put it into a ball. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to show you when I lift this up. It's pretty sticky. And again, you can add a little bit more flour, and you just kind of want to pat it into a little ball. You can just stick your bowl right in the refrigerator if you want, or you can put it into another container. Let it sit in there for a little bit, add a little bit more flour to the outside. Now, we can't roll this out yet because it does need to sit in the fridge.
Okay.
But I do have...
You were thinking ahead.
I was thinking ahead. Let's see, let's get this out first. This is my nice little roll out, and right over here. This is some other dough that I had, and I have some extra flour, so you want to, get your flour going, because it'll be a little sticky, but this rolls out really nice, and you don't actually need to even start off with the whole thing, so you can take part of it, make it into a nice ball. This rolls out really well. Put a little bit more on top, and you'll see about 1/4 of an inch thickness. If you do them any thicker than that, it's going to take a little bit longer to cook. So, I guess it's kind of personal preference, however you want it, however thickness you want, just like as far as the cookie cutters go, whatever size you want.
Sure.
It's entirely up to you. Sometimes you need just a little bit more flour so it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. And then, you can try with your different cookie cutters. Got the larger one. It's cute. Make a couple of those. Sometimes you gotta dip them in flour so they don't stick. A couple small ones. Do a few more of these. Okay. So as I said, we sprayed our pan. So we were just I guess I'll have you hold that because we've got some flour there. And you just put them up about an inch, 1/2 of an inch apart on your cookie sheet. Aren't those cute?
That's great.
Yeah. And I would suggest too, and you're gonna get to see the finished product. You let them completely cool before you give them to your dog.
The dog might get okay.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt them.
No.
And I also recommend that you keep them in, for if you're gonna just have a couple, take them in a Ziploc bag, an airtight container. But if you're going to make a lot of them, I would freeze them.
Okay.
Because there's no preservatives in these. And the ones that you buy that have the preservatives, they have a great shelf life. These are not going to have that. They have a lot of, they're organic material. So we'll pop those in the oven. What you want to do is watch them about 30, 35 minutes, depending on the thickness. If you do them thicker, you're going to want them to go a little bit longer. You want them to be crunchy. You want them to be dried out, because that's typically how a dog biscuit is. So we'll pop those in the oven.
Okay, so while those are baking, we're going to go to the...
Yep, there we go.
We're going to go to the Grand National Grouse Championship.
Oh, wonderful.
Hosted by the Black Ash Sportsmen's Club, and also at the Pennsylvania State Game Lands in Guys Mills. And we're going to see some real action here. So looking forward to that.
Wonderful.
Joining us now is Thor Kane, the secretary, and I'm going to say this wrong. Okay, the Grand National Grouse Futurity.
Yes, that is correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, explain that. What's the organization?
Well, the Futurity, we're under the Grand National Grouse Championship, and the Futurity process, the breeders nominate their litter. They nominate their dam. Then when the puppies are born, they nominate their litter. And then when they do that, then the owner, I send out a form in January, from the following winter, the puppies are born. They're then eligible. The owner nominates the litter, or their puppy, excuse me, and then they're eligible for the Grand National Puppy Classic. And then in the fall, we have the Grand National Grouse Futurity. Both the Puppy Classic, the judges probably told you, there's no birds. They're just potential. So they're just judging on race, how they hunt the cover, how they look running style, do they handle, and can you get the dog back. They're usually, on average, a bigger running dog than your average hunting dog, a field trial dog, but most people here will hunt these dogs too. They know the difference. They get to a field trial, they know to run, they get to...
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Now, I have regular hunting dogs at my house, and it's different. I mean, they work differently. They work very, very close to me all the time, and that's what I'm after. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or?
Yeah, well, they know the difference, and the breeders, the process of the Futurity, they're trying to better the breed. They're trying to breed better dogs. But when it all comes down to it, we all want good bird dogs. You can't tell that in this state because there's no birds. But even gait will help out how they're gaited. Will help out how long they can run and how much energy they have doing that. So
I notice it looks like English pointers. I saw some setters today.
Pointers and setters, generally speaking.
And the ones that I've seen are hugely athletic. I mean, they're very, very fit and ready to roll. Am I right about that?
They usually, when they get to even this point here in this puppy stake, they either think they have potential to be a field trial and maybe a champion or, a big winning dog later on down the road. So they may have sold one, or they just use it as a hunting dog that doesn't quite have that drive and punch and range and stuff like that.
So does having my dog have, on his resume that he's a field trial champion? I mean, does that help for, the value of his puppies down the road?
Sure. Most of these dogs, if you look back in their pedigree, most of them are out of direct champions in this circuit, the cover dogs. Some of them come from other circuits, horseback field trials where they run on quail and other species of other game birds. So, but yes, it definitely helps.
Any particular reason why this event's here in Crawford County today? Do you move it around other places?
So what happens is that we had our Grand National Grouse and Woodcock Invitational. That's a championship. That's the top 14 dogs qualifying for that for the field trial season, and they run 3 days in a row. We ran that right up the road here, and that's multiple course, and you have to point birds. The Puppy Classic follows that immediately after that. It's always this Saturday. That ended yesterday. It's the Saturday after. Okay. So, and it rotates. We have 3 regions in the Grand National. There's the Lake States region. That'd be Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. We have this region here, which is Pennsylvania, and then we have New England too. So it rotates. The Grand National Grouse Championship, the Futurity, and the Invitational all rotate between those.
So how many dogs have been part of the event here the last couple of days and today?
14, because only 14 were qualified. It's just a closed stake as far as that. Our Grand National Grouse Championship, we could have upwards of 70, 80 dogs, and that'll be in the fall.
And I have seen some local folks here from Crawford County out today, so that's and folks around Crawford County are really into this.
Family-friendly event. Anybody's more than welcome to come anytime and attend. My name's online on the website. You can call if you have a puppy you're interested. Coming out other puppy stakes too, you know, not just this one. So we have all kinds of field trials all over the place.
This is way more complicated than I thought when I first heard about this, but do you have any sponsors or those that help you put all this stuff together?
Yes, we are generously sponsored by Nestle Purina, our rep Dean Marenke. They do a great job. They supply us with the winners with dog food. We're also sponsored by Garmin Tritronics, and they're sponsoring this particular event.
That's on electronics, a dog collar.
Yep, GPS, e-collars. They're sponsoring this event for the winner. First place gets a e-collar for that.
That's wonderful.
And there are 4 placements in this. Generally, there's 3. In a puppy stake, there are 4 placements. The purse is split between the breeders and the owner of the dog. So the breeders get a certain percentage, and then that, because the breeders, as part of the breed, they nominated the litter. So
now you showed me a special trophy here that goes. That's kind of like the Stanley Cup, a traveling trophy here. Talk about
nice
that.
Trophy. It's a bronze trophy, and it's a rotating trophy. So what happens is that whoever wins today, first place, takes that home. They get their name on a night engraved on there, and they get to keep it for a year. They do have to bring it back, but they keep it and have it on display and take as many pictures as they want with it.
But the name's on there forever, right?
It's on there forever, and when the trophy fills up and gets long, it'll be retired, and that trophy will always, you know, have their dog's name on it. A lot of really special, great dogs that went on to do great things in grouse dogs and won championships have won this event, and they've won the Futurity. So
let me ask you a general broad question here: the future of the sport. What do you see for down the road? I mean, I worry about things, you know, and it's like, are enough kids coming? You know, or what do you see?
I'm in this about 6-7 years, and it's definitely, there's a lot of, for lack of better terms, gray hair in the sport, but there's also a lot of guys coming and getting started out. It's important that we continue to have wild birds. If we lose wild birds in the state and in other areas, we'll lose this too, and obviously the involvement, because everyone here was a grouse hunter or a bird hunter, and that's how they got into field trial. And you could poll everyone here, and they pretty much had a bird dog and bird hunted and then found out about field trials, not the other way around. So
now, I have some property way out in the country, and I used to, every time I'd be out there just working on the property, and I had my dog with me, and there'd go a grouse, and then some fishers came. You know, I have not seen a grouse since then. I mean, are those things related, or is, you know?
I don't know for sure. I'm sure they are. There's a lot of stuff we need. The biggest thing is young forest. That's what grouse and woodcock need, and we have less and less of that. The forest matures, and everybody thinks that doesn't know about it, a beautiful mature forest is great, but to have, there's also other species. Gold-winged warbler is a songbird that benefits from the same cover that grouse and woodcock need. There's also a lot of talk in the state with West Nile virus and how there's studies going on how it's affecting our grouse. The biggest thing we need is early successional habitat, that young forest. Young forest, it's a healthy forest. It'll hold deer will bed in there, turkeys will nest in there, grouse will be in there, and avian predators can't get the grouse when they're in there. That's why they prefer it.
So it's okay to cut down some of your trees and let the new stuff come up, right?
Yep, exactly. So,
well, thanks for having us out here at the event today. This is great.
Thank you for attending. All right.
And joining us now are the judges for the event today. Let me ask you to introduce yourselves, and I want to ask you about how you do your judging work here.
My name's Justin Evans from Duncannon, Pennsylvania, and we're looking for future potential here. We're looking for dogs that have a lot of speed on the ground and class as far as the way they carry their tails when they run, application, the way they hit cover, looking for birds.
Hi, I'm Brian Ralph, right here from Guys Mills, Pennsylvania. I've been doing this for about 8 or 9 years now, and when I'm sitting in the saddle, one of the things I'm looking for is a dog that just keeps to the front and you know, is easy going, doesn't require a lot of handling from the handler, that just is you know, to the front on its own. So
So now, I personally, I'm a Springer Spaniel guy. I haven't worked with pointers very much, and I was fascinated following you around, watching how that goes. What does the perfect one look? I don't know. Perfect is, what's the perfect one look like? How does it work?
For me, it would be the dog that you don't have to talk a whole lot to, that the handler doesn't have to do a lot of yelling, which we call hacking, and they just lay out there to the front, in front of everybody, and work 10 to 2. They hit, like I said, they hit all the cover that looks like would hold birds.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a perfect one yet,
Yeah.
but it seems like as many times as I've judged, it always sorts itself out. The best dogs always get you sitting up in the saddle and you pay attention to them just because they have that it factor when they're going. They're really cracking and they're just doing everything right. So
I got to ask you about you're traveling along here on a horse. Now, how's that work?
You're just on a horse. You're up on the horse to have a better
perspective.
Better view. Yeah.
You don't have to watch your feet where you're walking. You can watch the dogs, and you don't have to be watching your feet. You're tripping over stuff. So,
I was and following you around once. I mean, there's a lot of roots. There's a lot of little creeks and all those kind of things that you're going through there, and I could see where that could be an issue if you're watching yourself not to stumble. You might miss that key part of the dog's work.
Yeah, certainly.
So for a dog. That's just a regular old dog, or versus one that's gone through all these trials and so on. Compare and contrast.
This is just a juvenile stake that's like I said, we're looking for potential. So these dogs have had formal training, but not a whole lot. They're only up to 15 months old.
Yeah.
So they're just starting their careers here, and we're, like I said, we're looking for the ones that can go to the next level. So,
and I would say these dogs have a little bit more athletic ability than your average hunting dog at home. They're being worked year round. These dogs that compete, they're running year round, where a normal hunting guy is running his dog a month before hunting season and just a hunting season. So.
And that's a good thing. So for those out there that are thinking about, I want my dog to be great, get them a lot of work a long stretch of time, right?
Certainly.
So any tips for those out there that are thinking about getting the dog, or they want their dog to be great?
I would recommend coming out to the field trials. Those are we have these to bring forward the best in the breed for what we're doing, and they can come out, watch those dogs, get an idea of what they're seeing and what they want, and then you're around a bunch of good people that you can get your feet wet. So yeah.
And you got to spend time with the dog. You can't just buy a dog and not take it hunting until it's a year old and expect it to do its thing. You got to get these dogs out in the woods and get them out a couple times a month and walk them and get them out there.
My personal thing with the hunting dog is there's a joy in that dog to see it work out there doing what it's designed for, and I always get a kick out of doing kind of anything with dogs. I think the folks here, I'm seeing that with them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly.
There's a lot of passionate people here for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being with us. Thanks for putting this event together.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Well, let me ask you to introduce yourself here, and you've got an interesting story.
Well, my name is Joe Dahl, and I'm a retired educator and came into field trialing seriously, back into field trialing about 12 years ago.
So, and you're not here from the Crawford County area?
No, I've driven up from North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina for this event. I have a pretty good running puppy. We'll see how it does today in a little while.
So, from being an owner and being very interested, what do you see? What do you see in the pup that makes you think that this is one that?
Well, it's going to be interesting because I've been competing down in the piney woods of North Carolina, and it's large, big pine trees, and then a lot of field edges. So here we're going to be completely in the woods. The only thing that might help me out is I hunt in Maine in the fall, and my dog has seen a lot of grouse and woodcock in the woods.
So there's a whole lot of dogs here, and they're all very interested. What's yours like? What's personality like? What's it athletic kind of dog?
Mine is very quick. It's an English setter. Comes from some breeding that's it goes back to some stock that I've had in the past, and it's loaded with field champions or Her mother's a champion, and her grandmother's a 2-time runner-up champion on grouse and woodcock. So that's what I love. My passion's going out and finding wild birds. Yeah.
So I'm a Flushing dog guy. I've had Springer Spaniels for my whole life. So this is fun for me to see something different, and it's a whole different approach. And the difference is with my dogs, I want them being close to me,
They have to be. If they're gonna,
if that bird goes off, 80 yards away, that's not helping anybody. I gotta have them close to me. So, and this is a whole different thing. They've got to lock up whenever they get.
Exactly. My falls hunting are a lot of remote main roads, timber roads that have grown up, and the area I go into is called the Great North Woods. 5.3 million acres.
Oh, wow.
And you start walking the tote roads, your dog will swing from side to side, and when they stop, the bell stops, and you go find your dog. And I do have to admit today, especially at my age, we cheat a little with GPSs. Yeah.
And that's okay.
That's fine.
Right.
That's fine. You just hope the bird's still somewhere around, you get a chance to shoot, and if you don't, that's okay too.
An event like this, is it fun too, in addition to being a challenge?
Oh, absolutely. What it does, your hunting season's really only about a month long in Maine for grouse, and you come out here and do this, you can be practicing and playing all year long. We pretty much take off May and June while the birds are nesting, but then back up in July in Maine. I have great training on grouse and woodcock once I get past the 10th of July or so.
So what do you think, let me ask you a question, I asked some of our other folks here today, what do you think about the future of the sport, down the road?
Well, the one thing we'd like to see is more and more young people get involved, of course. A lot of fellows that are doing this are my age, and that's not what we need for the future. So we try to involve a number of things to encourage young people to get involved, like a stake just for junior handlers that can go out and get their feet wet and try this for the first time. So we do things like that, yeah.
I know here in Pennsylvania they have Youth Pheasant Day, for the 2 weeks before the regular pheasant season opens, just for kids, from 12 to 16.
Exactly.
And our local Sportsmen's Club here, the Black Ash Sportsmen's Club, always organizes a hunt for the kids, which I love to bring my dog out because A, it's good practice for the dog, but B, I love to see the kids, out there for the future of the sport. So
yeah, same with Maine. We have programs where we take kids fishing, and I was involved in that, and I've taught hunter safety for the young children, and that's real important. And it's important that they get to enjoy the outdoors.
A spring thing coming up here. There's a spring kids turkey hunt day coming up here in a few weeks, so I'm looking forward to that too. So
great, we have one in Maine as well.
Oh, very good. Well, thanks.
You're more than welcome.
And
my
good luck.
pleasure. Thank you. I'll need it. All right.
Well, when she was born, she was about half the size of the other puppies. She was like a mouse, so we called her Minnie Mouse. Just tiny. And then, but she ate. There was only one nipple. Her mouth was big enough to get around, but we made sure she got it. And then, so she was doing pretty well. Then about 8 days old, her back, this back leg was swollen, just really swollen. And John said, I think it's broken. I said, no, it's not broken. I refused to admit that it was broken. And he thought we might have to put her down. I said, we are not putting her down. We'll just see what happens. It's not broken. And after it just gradually healed, and it's perfectly fine now.
It was broken though.
I still won't admit it was broken.
And the Mighty Minnie, she won third place
this fall.
Last fall in the puppy trial.
Yeah.
The Mighty Minnie. Yep. She got a lot of heart.
Okay, so we have some of our first batch that went in the oven. We had them bake for about 35 minutes. We watched them carefully to make sure that they were done, and we allowed them to cool, of course, because that's really important before you give it to one of your furry friends. And now all I need are my taste testers. So I don't know if I have any today.
Lisa, I found some taste testers.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Lulu and Butch.
Butch and Lulu.
They're very interested in what's going on here. Hey
Butch
guys,
and Lulu, can
look
you
over
sit
here.
for a treat?
Can you sit?
Can you sit? I can't tell if they're sitting. Are they sitting?
Sit.
Sit down.
You too, but sit.
Sit down. Sit down. All right. There you go. There you go. Oh, I think it's a hit.
I'm going to say that's an endorsement.
I think so too.
Can I try one?
Oh, sure, Duane.
Yes.
It's all human food. How are they?
Wow. That's actually pretty good.
So, just in case you have a little one at home and they happen to grab one of the dog treats thinking that they're for kids,
Do you guys want to share?
I think they'll be okay. It's all human food.
Well, since Butch and Lulu were getting the sample, they were out running not too long ago. Once you get past the regular pheasant season, when the pheasants are kind of all caught up, you can go buy your own and release them yourself.
Right.
So we took Butch and Lulu out together on one of those thaws in January. And Butch is still at that point still pretty
Still
young.
learning.
He was having a hard time, so Terry went to the car and got Lulu. She instantly found the bird and flushed, and we were able to shoot the bird, and it kind of fluttered off into the weeds. And we looked, and we looked, and we looked. Went back to the truck, got crashed. All three of them looked. And it's like, well, I guess that one got away.
Right.
So took and put Crash away, and didn't Butch go and find that bird.
Oh, good for
So,
him. That's great.
I was very proud of him at being a very young age. Now, a little later that day, Lulu flushed one.
Right.
And again, it got up a little bit of a distance away, and we shot it, and it again kind of fluttered away and went on the other side of a pond and past a swamp area, and we went over looking for it. And Butch found that one.
Okay.
So, and it was kind of funny when I went to shoot it. There's a tree in the wind. I shot and kind of shot this tree right,
Oh, okay.
right out of the way.
I can't cook that.
You don't cook the tree?
No, I don't cook the trees.
Well, we then had a good day that day.
Well,
We went
yeah.
out one more time then in late February, just before the very end of the
Right.
pheasant season, and Butch was kind of catching on at that
That's
point.
good.
And he actually flushed one on his own, and we were able to get that one. And he's not quite to the point of retrieving yet. He ran over to it and stood there and kind of barked and was very excited, standing right beside the bird.
He'll
that
get
he
it.
found.
He's getting there.
So we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
That's good to hear.
Okay, well,
All
Lisa,
right.
thank you very much for
Thank
the great
you.
recipe. I liked it too.
Good. Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad to know that, humans can eat them too.
Thanks for our friends from the Black Ash Sportsman's Club for organizing that great dog trial event with the National Grouse Association. And thanks to our viewers at home for joining us on Crawford County Outdoors, and we'll talk to you next time.